Hello, I'm Lisa Griffith again, and today we're going to go over how to do a basic study of a cube and a tetrahedron. There are two other videos I found online that I thought were pretty good. Some people talk, one person talks, Circle Line Academy, I think he is. He's pretty good. He's an excellent illustrator. If you have any questions with illustration, he's a good one to look at. And then the second young man doesn't speak at all, but I just thought it was a beautiful video, so I linked them both. So what we're going to do is look at our cubes and our tetrahedrons. I have a basic cube here and a basic tetrahedron. These are from 3D Design leftovers. And I'm just going to look at them and start to draw them. There's two ways to draw a cube. You can start by just simply creating your first square and then overlapping your square like this so that it overlaps in the box. And then you connect your square. So this connects to your corner, this connects to your corner, this connects to your corner, and you erase this corner out because it's basically, these are not seen anymore, and this is your cube. That's one way of creating a cube. Another way of creating a cube, the more common way, is just finding the front, because all cubes have three sides. You don't ever see the fourth side, but it's implied. And so you find your center of one of your interconnecting boxes, and then you throw a line up. And then you always have to remember, cubes are, even though they're four-sided, they're in threes. So this line always has to be perpendicular with this line, and this line has to be perpendicular with this line to create the wall for the boxes. So this line is always the same as this line. This line up here has to be the same angle as this line, the same as this one, and this one. So always the rule of threes in a cube. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If those are always at the same angle and come together in a nice point, you always usually get a pretty good cube. If for some reason you have a tetrahedron, maybe you're in my 3D design class, they're a little more funny because you only see two sides. There's a three-sided object, but you only see two sides of it, usually a dominant line with an element coming down and an angle. And the angle here that you have to pay attention to is this one and this one, and how much of that edge over here you see. And notice I overlap my lines. I let my lines flow freely. I'm really bad at straight lines, so this is how I get a pretty good straight line. And I get a nice, and I feel that cubes and simple solids really function well when they overlap and have good strong points. So I let the line overlap, and then I go back and I erase so that I get a good line. And otherwise, if I try to connect my line, I tend to not have the nicest point. So I overlap my lines. So once you've done a page of these and you feel comfortable and you've watched the other videos, then set up a still life. We're going to go over to the still life. I'm going to get a new paper down. We're going to go over to set up a still life. It can be simple. It can be two objects. I'll get rid of this one, and I'll get that one. So two forms. And we're going to just do a contour study of our still life. My light source is set up. I've got good light. I don't like this one. It's too shiny. Let's put that one in there. A mama cube and a baby cube. Okay. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to start with the big one to make sure I know where it is and I can put the little one next to it. So I'm going to start with that point that's looking at me. And I'm going to just find, again, I always hold my vine charcoal and what feels comfortable and easy, and I'll pull it down. I'm making, again, very dark lines so that you can see it. You can draw as light as you want so that you can erase as many times as you want. That's my stable line. It's probably too long. You probably have to cut it down a little bit, but we'll do that for now. Now I want to start to find my outer wall, my secondary wall, and I'm going to feel that out right about here. My vine got a little damp, so it's not too happy. That happens sometimes. Remember now, this is the rule of threes. So if this wall is here, this wall is going to have to follow that same angle. And then the wall back here, that is the top, is going to have to follow that same angle. So now I've already made it so large that I'm going off the paper, but I'm fine with that because I don't have to worry too much about background if it's off the wall. I'm going to angle this one in here, somewhere here. Again, I'm going to let my points just come together and let them merge. And then again, the rule of threes, I must follow that black over here, try to keep it straight. Then follow this angle, again, try to keep the same angle, make your arm follow it. You can grab a ruler if it helps and just pull it down. Okay, my bottom is here, so I have to follow it there, and I think my angle's off, so let me fix that. Let me step back. Yeah, my angle's off, so let me fix that angle. That's better. And then this angle is going to be over here. It's going to come off. Again, same rule of three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that should be, if I'm good and I step back. It's a messy cube, but it's my first cube. This one's a little off. I'm going to pull that in a little bit. So then I'm just going to quickly erase some of this up. So you're like, what is she doing? So that way you see what I've got here. That's my first cube. Nice big cube. I think it's okay. Yeah. Now I'm going to do the baby cube there. Now the baby cube is just a little in from its mama cube. It's at a slightly different angle. So I'm going to do a kind of a fine line to tell myself I got to go right over here because there's a nice space between. It's only if you look at it, and you can angle your whatever you're drawing with across the top of it to notice that it's about here. So it's about here, and it meets almost in the same plane line. So then we put it in. Again, we follow the same. We find the front end of it. We find the front end like this. And now this is smaller, so we're just going to get in there, follow that there. This is the rule of threes again. So remember that this, and this have to follow the same angle. This, and this have to follow the same angle, and I'll step back to see if I've got the same angle. It's hard when you're standing at an angle. I think that one's crooked, but I'm not sure. And then this one has to come here. And let me step back and see if I've got it. Not bad. I've got some wobbly lines here, as you can see. This one's got to go a little straighter. This one's got to go out a little bit. I went in too much. But otherwise, that's good. I'm going to cut that down just a little bit. Too much of a big top on it. And that's a pretty good contour. Now, what is happening with my shadows? And this is what's nice about doing a box. This is actually my darkest side. So later when we shade, this D is going to come in handy for me. This is a lighter dark. And this is my cast shadows right here. I have a nice little lift because the box got warped. And I have a nice, really dark. I just broke my vine. I have a really dark right here. This is my blackest black. And then I have a nice cast shadow that's not as sharp. And then there's a nice angle. And there's a nice angle. And there is an interesting shadow and a little bit of a shadow here. And these will all come at an angle like this. And they'll come off. This will stop right about there. And this is all shadow. It'll be softer and lighter than the box itself. And this will be your brightest top. And the same as with this little baby one. This is light. This is your darkest dark. This is your lighter dark. And your cast shadow for this little baby kind of jumps off there, comes down, and echoes its side there. And it kind of recreates itself right about there. Now, we're going to do one more thing on this drawing. We're going to put in a plane line. And the plane line is where the bottom, the shadows indicate a ground. If we see where I have a piece of paper, I have a piece of paper and another piece of paper taped to my books so that it's up in the air. And right through here, it dissects my ground. And I'm going to put it in and show you what that does. It's now all of a sudden, all of these shadows and these cubes are on a ground. So this is now the table. and this is now the background space. So anything up here is now in the air or the sky or the background. Okay? All right, so that's a cube study or a simple solid study with a plane line and edited. The next video we will do the shading of this drawing. Thank you.